Hi everyone, I'm Janet and welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing the first 5 of 10 cards I'm making from the February My Monthly Hero card kit. This kit is all about Art Deco and features some really gorgeous classic images. One of the dies in this kit is a fancy full card front die. It and the Art Deco style really calls you to do some die inlaying, and 3 of today's cards are inlaid. I have a great supplementary video that demonstrates a technique to make inlay die cutting a lot easier, and I hope you'll go there if you're not sure what I mean or how to do inlay die cutting. You can find that link in the upper right corner of your screen now. In addition to 3 beautiful inlaid cards, I have a shaker easel card and a stamped vellum card featuring the dancing couple set on top of a background made with the included stencil and my own glimmer paste. Also, if you'd like to see a full unboxing of this kit, you can visit another one of my companion videos. That link can be found in the upper right hand corner of your screen now. Alright, let's get started with this super fun and glamorous kit. I'm going to start with one of the gold and green inlaid card fronts that I made. This card is going to feature the glamorous classic convertible. So here is the panel I just mentioned, made with the gold and green inlay technique, and I've put the car die right at the top and ran it through my Cuttlebug, and look at that, it starts to peel away the gold finish of my cardstock. So I peeled it from the top going down instead, and I found once I did that and pressed it down again, it was good, so I was able to save that. Alright, so now I'm going to work with this cutout of the car itself. I'm going to put it in my MISTI, and this is where a MISTI is really helpful. I put the car die cut down after I used my embossing buddy to get some powder on there, the anti-static powder, and then I'm going to lay the stamp of the car right over the top of that die cut just to make sure that it'll be placed correctly. Now I can go ahead and use my Versamark ink to get that stamp inked up really well, and then I can go ahead and stamp it with that image. And of course that ink is going to allow me to apply black embossing powder, which will give a raised and really pretty finish to this die cut. You know, and the die cut car shape itself isn't all that bad, but it's even better with the stylized embossing on it. Now here's again where that MISTI comes in so handy, because I was able to put that die cut right back to where it was, so that I can put one more layer of Versamark ink on there. I want to make sure that I have really good ink coverage so that my black embossing powder sticks evenly and covers everything. And this particular paper, this cardstock I'm using, it has a texture to it, so you'll really want to use an embossing anti-static powder with something like this, because the textured cardstock tends to want things to cling to it. At least that's my experience. And then also the ink doesn't necessarily lay down so evenly the first time because it does have a texture. So that second application of Versamark really helps to get a good image. Alright, so I'm going to move on next to imprinting the sentiment I want to use. And the stamp kit comes with this stamp that says, "Hey there, doll face," but I don't want the doll face. Obviously that's not going to work good with a car image. So I'm covering up the word doll face, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up again with Versamark the part that's uncovered, and then remove that a little piece of masking tape there, so that just "Hey there" is going to stamp nicely on my card front. And I will do that twice just to make sure again I get a really good amount of coverage of the ink. And in general, I would say I do ink up things twice, if maybe even 3 times sometimes. Just depends on how well the image inks down, and with the MISTI you can do this so easily without having to deal with any ghosting or errors that you'll make by trying to stamp things twice. It really makes things possible using the MISTI that is almost impossible by just using a regular stamping surface like a clear acrylic stamping block. So I'm going to go ahead and now put over the black embossing powder, and you can see that I only have the words "Hey there." I did not get the words "doll face." So I'm going to take a risk here, and rather than heat embossing it right off the bat, I'm going to put this back in, and then I'm going to pull out the stamp that says Daddy-O. And so then my message becomes, "Hey there, Daddy-O," which I thought was a really fun sentiment to go along with this classic convertible car. So I'm a little off screen here. I apologize for that, but I'll get back on center here in a moment. Okay, so I'm just picking up the Daddy-O sentiment right now, and I'm going to use the Versamark once again. I will stamp that right underneath the "Hey there," and I'm going to use my magnets this time to try to keep things in place. I have a big enough surface now to do that with. And as I said before, I'm going to do it again with another layer of Versamark. Press that down, and then I can go ahead and shake the black embossing powder on this, and then I'll be able to heat emboss the whole thing at once. And the reason I did this was because then I don't have to risk overheating the cardstock or the first sentiment, and I'm just going to use my heat tool there and get it all done. Now I used a little bit of wet glue, and I'm going to put this on top of a black card base, and it's going to cover the entire A2 card base with this beautiful inlay front. And you can see you have that black image underneath, and now I'm going to take the car that I just did with a little bit of foam tape to lift it up and put it on top of that. And there you go. Beautiful. The last thing I'm going to do to finish this card is to put some of the black and gold sequins on it, and that completes it. Okay, so we're on to card 2, and I've set up a scene here with the gramophone, the cocktail glass, and some music notes. I'm going to replace that white center with a black center, and I will just be inlaying that in there. I left the white just because I could see it a little better, but now I can put in the black, and I've off camera dusted that with the anti-static powder, and it always looks so bad on black, but at least you know you've got good coverage. Now I'm going to cover this with Versamark again, and this time I will be embossing it with gold embossing powder. So you'll watch me go ahead and stamp that down. Now this inlaid card front uses 3 colors. I've got the gold, black, and peach, and I think it's just a beautiful combination. So you'll see here that I'm going to sprinkle the gold embossing powder. This is a gold detail embossing powder, and once that is sprinkled, I will go ahead and set it with my heat gun. I always think it's quite magical when you're using your heat gun on embossing powder. It like just pops out, and it's just so pretty, as is this particular center. Now I did the same thing, except now I'm using a silver embossing powder for the sentiment, and I stamped "Party Like It's 1922, which I thought was fitting for the music and the cocktail there. And again, just heat setting that in. I like the little sparkle of silver. This silver embossing powder came with a kit several months ago. I think maybe with the one that has just sentiments. But anyway, I enjoy it quite a bit. I use it fairly regularly. So there you go. It's really quite pretty the way it is, but I decided to add a bow using the ribbon that came with the kit this month, and I do think that just is a great finishing touch. And there you can see the card completed. All right, so let's go on now to card number 3. Now I'm going to use the stencil that was included in this kit. So I first take some washi tape and fold it over, just leaving a little bit of sticky part, and put that on the back of the panel. Then I can flip this over, and I'll have something to hold on to when I want to move or touch it when I'm completed. Now I'm going to put down this really pretty stencil, and I'm going to again secure it with a little bit of washi tape on the top and bottom of it. And this panel is just a little bit bigger than what I'm going to actually use. Will cut this down after it dries, but this is what I need to prep it for my paste. Now I'm using a Bow Bunny glimmer paste. It's called Chiffon, and it's this pretty golden yellow. It's not glittery, it's completely just glimmer. So it's quite pretty. I'm going to use a little putty knife here, stir it up before I start applying it. And this paste, like most pastes, are very much like peanut butter. And so what you do is you take it out, I like to work at it from the back of my putty knife or my palette knife. And I start applying it across the top of the stencil, and I apply it fairly thickly. However, you need to work fairly fast with this. At least this Bo Bunny paste does dry or starts to set up fairly quickly. So if you want a smooth finish, you do need to go somewhat quickly. And then at the end here, I just smooth it down as best I can, trying to make sure I have even coverage everywhere. Once that's done, you'll need to remove your stencil. And again, this is where my little handles come in handy. I cleaned up my work surface, and now I'm going to pull away my stencil. And it's perfect. Lovely. Now I'll set that aside to dry. Now I'm going to work on the vellum front. I cut a rectangle, and I'm applying now some Stays-On ink. This is important when you're working with vellum, because if you're going to stamp on it, pretty much any other ink is going to be smeary and takes a very, very long time to dry. The Stays-On, is made for this kind of slick surface, and it will stay in place and dry pretty quickly. Now my panel has dried, and I've applied a piece of fun foam to the back of it, and now I'm applying some additional glue to the back of the fun foam so that I put it on this white card base. Now I have cut down this panel just a little bit so that I can get a border, and I really love it. Isn't it pretty? That gold glimmer paste is gorgeous. Now here is my card front. I'm going to apply some glue behind the flat black and gold sequins that came in this kit, which is a perfect companion piece to everything. I'm so glad they included these. And so I can attach this to my card front using those glued spots. And I'll just press down for a little bit and give it a little time to set. And that's really all that's required for this card. What I really love about this one is that you can see the pattern of the stencil underneath that vellum. It is just so pretty. And that completes card number 3. All right, card number 4 is a fun one as well. Another inlay, but this time I used some paper that looks like marble, and it's awesome. This black, gold, and white color combination is beautiful. Now the couple is, of course, an image in the stamp set, and I just inked that up with black. And then I did the same thing with a couple of the stamps to create this sentiment that says "Party Like It's 1922." The top and bottom of that sentiment is the same stamp. I just flip them over and then stamp the sentiment inside. And after a few sequins are added, voila! All right, so card number 5 is a little bit different. This is going to be an easel card, and I used a cut file that I got from My Scrap Chick. If you're not familiar with My Scrap Chick, you should check them out. I'll have the link to their website in my video description. But this is how you set it up. It's some very simple cuts that create a layered image, which I did in peach and white, and I thought that was a great color combo. Again, a really Art Deco classic color combination. And it has these stylized lilies, I'm going to call them, on the front, and I really love them. And again, when I saw this pattern on My Scrap Chick, I thought it's a perfect Art Deco kind of style and just what I needed. So I'm going to make a shaker card with this, and I'm going to stamp the couple. These are individual stamps of the man and the woman dancing, and I set them up on my MISTI. I did stamp this a couple times in order to get a nice, clean, and crisp image. And then I decided to also add some stamps, and I used my Fiskars stamp press in that case. I don't really know why, other than it was just super handy, so I used it to lay that out. And there you go. Now I'm going to do a little sentiment that's going to be where the easel card rests, and you'll understand what I mean a little bit later on in this video here. But I'm stamping up a sentiment for it, and it's going to say, "You're the bee's knees." And you can see I'd stamped it once before, so I'm just skipping ahead a little bit. I think you don't need to see me stamp things multiple times. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply the glue on the top of that piece I made earlier, and I'm going to put some acetate in the back of that. And now I'm going to take my foam tape. Now this is my handy dandy $1 foam tape that I get from the Dollar Tree. I use it all the time, and one reason I really like it is because it's a little thicker than regular 3M foam tape, which I like that a lot, especially when you're doing shaker cards like this. You need a little bit more room sometimes. So I'm just putting that all down, and then I put some of the black and gold flat sequins that came in the kit, and now I can place this over the top of the dancing couple image, and I've created a cute little shaker card. Now this is the form that creates the easel part of the card. So it's basically the card blank, if you want to call it that. So it's folded, and there are score lines included so that you can fold it in the right place. And now all I need to do is glue my front piece to that bottom half of the oval there, underneath where the score line is. And then this will allow it to stand up. So I'm just pressing that down. And now you could see that when I was working with the acetate, I apparently cut myself a little bit, so I got some blood on the back. This is where you're really putting blood, sweat, and tears into your card projects, I guess. So anyway, I went ahead and put some foam tape on the sentiment that I made earlier, and I'm going to put that on top of the oval that cuts out with this pattern. And now this is going to go at the bottom of the easel card, and it's what the top piece is going to rest on so that it stays upright and open. I'm just using regular ATG glue gun. It's very handy. So I'm going to put that in like so. And because I got some blood on this, I guess I'm going to be giving this to my son or to my husband, because I don't think anybody else wants my bloody card. Oh well, it's the way it goes some days. But that's very pretty. This pattern also comes with an envelope that will fit the card as well, which I think is fantastic. So I cut a piece of cardstock that is double-sided so that I don't have to make a separate liner. And the beauty of this is it will fit this card perfectly. Now, after I cut and fold everything, I'm going to put the card inside of it so that I don't make it too tight. And then this way it will fit, because this is kind of a chunky card, being that I made it into a shaker. And you could see by doing that, it will fit perfectly. And there you go. Here's the finished card. Love how that last one turned out. That finishes up my first 5 cards made with this kit. I hope you enjoyed them. I'll be bringing you the last 5 cards next week, so please make sure you've subbed and clicked the bell so you get a notification when it goes live. I sure enjoyed being here with you and look forward to seeing you again soon.